Impact Wrestling fans? I'm back once again, here to break down Impact Wrestling, here to do another review. We're about to hop right on into this. Feel free to hit that subscribe button on this YouTube channel. Hit that notification bell to be notified of every video that I make. So we're about to hop right on into this. Another Impact episode. First, we started with Moose. We started with Austin Aries. Started with Killer Kross. They came down to ringside. They came down to talk about last week how they got rid of the whole roster. They're pretty much getting rid of the whole roster with these chair shots. But they were interrupted by KM and followed by. This was quite the strange interruption. You know, I'm sitting there and I think I had the same reaction as Austin Aries. Like, whose music is that? Followed by KM. Like, well, let's see how it goes. And I gotta admit, KM cut a pretty nice promo. You see, I don't like the dorky KM. When he gets serious, he gets believable. And I enjoy that. I enjoy believable KM. Believable, ticked off, mad, want to beat you up KM. And he cut a very fiery promo about how Moose turned his back on his best friend. And it was well done. And after all of this, it turns out that Austin Aries was willing to give a title shot to Fallah Bahh. So this was quite the strange opening. But once we got the title shot with Fallah Bahh, I was like, yeah, okay, well, I don't have high hopes, but let's see how it turns out. And I'll get to that later. Next up, we had the Lucha Bros versus Dakota Lee. Look, if you've been watching my Impact Wrestling reviews for quite some time now, I've been saying that Dakota Lee, they are much more than Eli Drake's lackeys. And they could be doing so much more. Eli Drake could be doing so much more as well. So for Dakota Lee, this is very much a step up. We finally got him in a tag match, a serious tag match, not against some random jobbers that they're taking a loss to, but it's all good. We got the Lucha Brothers versus Dakota Lee. This was very much a great match. Once I seen these teams in the ring, I was like, okay, this is going to be a high-flying, high-paced match, and hey, what do you know? I was right on that one. Anybody could have guessed that, by the way. But I very much liked it. I very much liked the tempo that they had going, and to say it was the first match of the night, Impact Wrestling always does a great job. Whatever is the first match of the night, they always normally hit it right out of the park. And it's normally because it's either the X division or it's the tag division or it's the Lucha Brothers, either one of them in that opening match, especially Phoenix. So I enjoyed this very much. Phoenix and Pentagon got the victory with the package power driver double stump. I enjoyed that move. That is the best tag team maneuver in all of wrestling going right now. They picked up the win. Dakota Lee takes the loss. I don't like seeing them lose, but it is what it is. It's very much a step up from where they were with Eli Drake, just meandering around doing nothing. So I hope that this is the start of something for Dakota Lee, and that I hope that they take them more seriously. So after that, we had an OVE promo. They challenged Pentagon Phoenix and Brian Cage to a match, three-way match at Bound for Glory. This should be a phenomenal match. I really would have liked to see the X Division title get defended. That's just me on the show. But with that being said, we get these 6 guys in a match. It's a no DQ, contested under OVE rules. So it should be a phenomenal match. It should be a brutal match. It should be a match, and it should be a fast match. That should arguably be the match of the night. So we move on. KM and Fallah Bahh was backstage looking for advice from former champions, and I gotta admit, they really built most of the show around KM and Fallah Bahh, and it was quite interesting indeed. They found Eli Drake. They didn't get a whole lot out of Eli Drake, but some jokes, to which Eli Drake, that's another, just like I mentioned, Eli Drake, they really need to do something with him. So moving on, we got Allie and Kiera Hogan interview backstage. Allie talked about how she didn't like helping Tessa Blanchard out, but that she made a promise that no one would get caught up in that coffin anymore. And like I said last week, I said that, okay, it made no sense to why Allie came down there, but if since they're presenting it like Allie is the face that no longer want to see this happen, then I'm good with it. So that was an interview, as well done interview as well. Tessa came back with the interview and was like, I didn't need her help whatsoever. Classic heel reaction, and I like that as well. Next up, we had Katarina versus Alicia. Before the match could even get started, Grado and Joe Hendry came down the ringside, and we got another classic Joe Hendry video talking about how Katarina's access was denied. We even got a Paul Burchill reference in that. That was well done. It was very fun. I enjoyed it very much. Alicia got the roll-up win from behind. And we'll see where this goes from here. I didn't quite expect the Katarina, Joe Hendry, Grado storyline to play out like this, but we're here now, and I'll see what they do with it going forward. So next up, we had Josh Matthews interviewing Johnny Impact, and he basically talked about how he would like for it to be Johnny Impact versus Austin Aries, but there are other distractions on the outside, namely Moose and Killer Kross. So Johnny Impact off this week. Pretty decent interview at best. Nothing special, nothing you have to go back and look for. But a decent interview at best with Josh Matthews. Next up, we had LAX versus the Fraternity. This was a very interesting match. I didn't know these guys, but I came to find out about them. They did some phenomenal things in this match. And to say this match went like 3 or 4 minutes, I very much enjoyed it. And we had some crazy spots. Decker hit the diamond cutter, the springboard diamond cutter on the outside. And it looked like he took the brunt of that on that floor out there. And I very much enjoyed this match. LAX picked up the win with the blockbuster power bomb, the street sweeper, excuse me. And we moved on to a promo from King. He came down to ringside to get under LAX's skin, and it was well done. King is a great promo when he's antagonizing somebody, especially in this LAX OG's feuds. He was antagonizing Konnan, was antagonizing LAX, told Konnan to let them off the leash, and we're off with the build towards Summerversary, towards Bound for Glory with LAX and the OGs, the blow-off match that I've been talking so much about that would go down at Bound for Glory. I'm very much looking forward to it, and I think it's going to be a very phenomenal match. Next up, we got Aries hyping this match with Falaba and talking about how all the challengers are gone and that Falaba's dream would end in misery. After that, Rich Swann tried to give Falaba some advice. He also laid down a challenge for Matt Sydal, and they will be going at it when Impact goes to Mexico next week. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Next up after that, we had the champion Brian Cage versus He's Not a Man, He's a Machine versus Congo Kong. Look, the first time these guys had a matchup, I looked at it and I was like, this isn't going to go too well. Two really big guys. I'm not expecting much. And they just blew it out of the water. I think that was the main event of Impact that week. They blew it out of the water. I very much enjoyed it. They was up against each other again. And once again, we had just big guys doing cruiserweight things. Congo Kong with the springboard shoulder block going from the outside to the inside. And then Brian Cage, like I always say, he does something different every week to where you're like, look, man, a dude that big should not be doing that stuff. He did a springboard moonsault. It was like, really? Like, really? You're not supposed to be doing that. And he did it like a cruiserweight, the nimbleness of a cruiserweight, the agility of a cruiserweight, and the size of a big man. He is just so impressive. I'm impressed by Brian Cage. And this was a decent match, to say the least. It did not top their first match, the match that I was just talking about, in my opinion, because it only went like 3 or 4 minutes. But it was well enough to keep me excited for that short time, for those 3 or 4 minutes. Good match, but short. Afterwards, Brian Cage cut a promo, announced his presence in the triple threat, not the triple threat match, but the 6-way match between OVE, Brian Cage, Phoenix, and Pentagon. That's going to be a bananas match, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Next up, we had the main event, Austin Aries versus Falaba, and I gotta say, I didn't have high hopes going into this match. I wasn't expecting a whole lot, but this turned out to be one of those matches to where You don't expect much, and then your expectations get exceeded. It's like, whoa, that's a pretty fun match. And this was a fun match, a good match. They had some spots to where they made the crowd believe that Fallah Bahh had a chance to pull it off. And I enjoyed it very much. I left back and forth. They went. We even had the spot where Austin Aries was wearing Fallah Bahh. What am I on today? Where he was wearing Fallah Bahh out. I enjoyed that very much as well. And I thought there was going to be some interference when Fallah Bahh went for the Banzai drop. I call it the Banzai drop. I don't know what he's calling it. But every time I see somebody do that, I think of Yokozuna and the Banzai drop. But it turned out that there was no interference. Austin Aries went fair and square with the last chancery, and I very much enjoyed that match. Moose and Killer Kross did not get involved, and it was a really good TV main event. Afterwards, we had KM take the chair shot on the ring post, and the reign of terror with Austin Aries, Killer Kross, and Moose continues to go forward. I'm looking forward to see how it all turns out. There was a lack of Eddie Edwards in this show. Lack of Eddie Edwards in last week's show as well. I thought he was going to come out, and turns out that he didn't. We'll see how it all plays out. I'm guessing that he'll be back for Mexico, and we'll kickstart Eddie Edwards versus Moose. We'll see how that turns out. But that was the end of the show. Let me know what you think down below. I didn't think it was a great show. I think it was average at best. But we moved on with some feuds heading into Bound for Glory. And I'm very much looking forward to see how it all turns out going forward. I very much enjoyed the main event. It far exceeded my expectations. So tell me what you think down below. Did you like Impact this week? Did you love it? Did you hate it this week? Let me know what your favorite match was as well. Anything you got, leave it down below in the comments. I'll come in and chop it up with you guys. You can find me on Twitter at 2SweetPod. That's number 2, Sweet P-O-D. And you can find me on Twitter as well at OMG Corey B. I'm also doing Hell in a Cell predictions later on today on the next episode of the 2 Sweet Wrestling Podcast. Stay tuned for that. I am out.